President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden faced off this week in a presidential debate like no other. The contentious debate was the first time the two presidential nominees met on the stage, and the first question out of the gate was about the Supreme Court and Judge Amy Coney Barrett.
He never keeps his word.
No, I'm not asking. That was a rhetorical question. All right, gentlemen.
Was heavily
Mr. President.
You would have been much later, Joe.
Mr. President.
Much later.
Mr. President.
You're talking about.
In a night that's being described as chaotic and unusually bitter, the two presidential nominees debated for the first time this week on a Cleveland stage moderated by Fox's Chris Wallace. And what often felt more like sparring than debating, the interruptions were frequent and the opportunity to get a point across rare.
Gentlemen, you say that's the end of it? This is the end of this debate?
Honest ballot count.
We're going to leave it there. To be continued.
Throughout the 90-minute event, there was no direct question about abortion, but Wallace did open the debate with a topic that could directly impact its laws, the Supreme Court.
President Trump, you nominated Amy Coney Barrett over the weekend to succeed the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the court. You say the Constitution is clear about your obligation and the Senate's to consider a nominee to the court. Vice President Biden, you say that this is an effort by the president and Republicans to jam through an appointment and what you call an abuse of power. Where do you think a Justice Barrett would take the court?
We have a phenomenal nominee, respected by all, top academic, good in every way,
The justice, and I'm not opposed to the justice. She seems like a very fine person. But she's written before she went on the bench, which is her right, that she thinks that the Affordable Care Act is not constitutional.
And while it did not get much airtime, the nominees did raise the issue of Roe.
The president also is opposed to Roe v. Wade. That's on the ballot as well in the court.
It's a topic that's sure to get a lot more attention the remainder of the 2020 campaign, as Amy Coney Barrett's nomination to the Supreme Court moves ahead with Senate confirmation hearings later this month.
The president has asked me to become the 9th justice. And as it happens, I'm used to being in a group of 9, my family.
If confirmed, pro-lifers and abortion advocates alike believe the Supreme Court is better poised to overturn or pick away at Roe v. Wade. One of the senators sitting on the Senate Judiciary Committee who will question Barrett's nomination is Kamala Harris of California, the Democratic vice presidential nominee who will face off against Vice President Mike Pence in a debate next week. For Pro-Life Debate Analysis, we're joined now via Skype by Marjorie Dannenfelser, president of the Susan B. Anthony List and co-chair of Pro-Life Voices for Trump, and Alexandra DeSanctis, a staff writer for National Review. Welcome back to you both. There was not a direct question about abortion at the first presidential debate, but there was this exchange about Roe versus Wade and Amy Coney Barrett. Take a listen.
The president also is opposed to Roe v. Wade. That's on the ballot as well in the court. And so that's also at stake right now. And so the election is all
You don't know it's
begun.
on the ballot. Why is it on the ballot?
Because
Why is it on the ballot? It's not on the ballot.
It's on the ballot in the court.
I don't think so.
In the court. Well,
there's nothing happening there.
Donald, would you just be quiet for a minute?
And you don't know her view on Roe v. Wade.
I don't know
her view.
Marjorie, what is the president saying there?
He's saying that he is not in a position, and he shouldn't be, in prejudicing any case that might come her way. We would not want him to put her in that position, and we won't expect her to put herself in that position when she's being questioned in a hearing room about how she might rule on a case. It would just be wrong for him to do that. I think we know he's extremely pro-life. He's committed to nominating pro-life Supreme Court justices, and we hope that has happened here. Indications seem good. But I think he was right to not go for this is the anti-Roe candidate.
Alexandra, Joe Biden was asked whether or not he would pack the courts if elected, and he did not directly answer that question. Can you explain this issue of packing the courts, Alexandra, and its significance in this election?
Sure. So this is something that Democratic politicians have been pushing now for a couple of years, saying if we're not able to get the policies that we want, if there's too many Republicans in the Senate, for instance, or there's justices on the court who aren't going to reinterpret the Constitution so that we can get our policy preferences put in place, we'll just add more justices. And this is something that Franklin Roosevelt tried to do unsuccessfully. It's possible. It's not prohibited in the Constitution, but clearly this would be a pretty radical move. And the fact that Joe Biden both refused to answer and got away with not answering that question, given that so many high-profile Democrats are pushing for it, I think is kind of a disgrace.
Marjorie, what if Biden were elected and packed the courts? Can you explain the potential impact on pro-life laws?
Yeah, well, the first thing would happen is that there's no reason that they can't do that. All you need is a majority in the House and the Senate, and the president signs it, so they could change, because they would change the legislative filibuster, so they could pass that as a rule. Then they would add new court justices. That would mean that that they would be very freed up to start. I think their first move would be to enshrine Roe versus Wade in the law first. They would pass a national law that basically reflects or goes further than Roe versus Wade goes, knowing that any case that comes, the court would probably not hear because of the other two. So it would set us back. In fact, I wouldn't even say it'll set us back. It might mean that we never get a shot at restoring the Constitution and restoring the principles that founders fought so hard to preserve. I think that's certainly possible. And a lot of people have said, no, that Roosevelt, he tried that so long ago. Well, we're living in a different age. There were a lot of assumptions shared back then, and we weren't living in quite the polarized atmosphere. We are living in a polarized place. And the ends in this group justify the means. I absolutely believe they will do that, and it would be an extreme thing to do. And I don't think they do it with any apologies.
Alexandra, in the 2016 presidential election, the abortion question did not come up until the end of the third and final presidential debate between Trump and Clinton. It was not directly raised in this first 2020 presidential debate, as we mentioned, though maybe Chris Wallace was trying to get there. Alexandra, are you expecting the abortion issue will be more prominent in the remaining debates?
To be honest, I'm pretty used to abortion not being raised in debates at all. And, we watched all the Democratic primary debates. It hardly ever came up. And I think just from what I've seen of the kind of the mainstream media or the media atmosphere, more broadly, you just don't really see people talking about abortion very often. I guess it's been more in the news lately with talk of Roe possibly being overturned and different state laws on abortion. But from what I've seen, I think they tend to avoid it, or they'll have kind of a passing question here or there. I would love to see it raised in the debate. I hope it comes up, and I think probably the media thinks it's an issue that would help Joe Biden, if anything. So maybe that'll encourage them to bring it up. But I do think that's something President Trump was very strong on in 2016.
Marjorie, you were just at the White House when President Trump formally nominated Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. As a pro-life leader, what are your thoughts about a potential Justice Barrett?
Well, I think for the work that the Susan B. Anthony list has done, which is just a reflection of a need for great, strong women leaders like Alexandra, who are acting in public life, doing what they do best. It is an incredible moment to see a justice like her, who will have conflicting opinions with other women on the court. Also, it's a beautiful thing to see her replacing Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because of their while they both honor the law, they certainly see abortion law, and I would hope in a very different way. It is truly a victory for the pro-life movement that decided to put muscle at the center of it, and really be serious and take itself seriously as a take no prisoners in politics type of work, because babies deserve this strength as more than guns do, more than tobacco does, more than any other lobbying group does. I think this is an extension of that, because we have a pro-life president and we have a pro-life Senate, and therefore we get to name and confirm the justices.
Alexandra, Barrett is a former Notre Dame professor. You're a Notre Dame alum yourself. Briefly, what have you made of the media reaction to Barrett's appointment to the High Court?
I honestly think it's just been horrifying to watch. All the initial reports were about her membership in People of Praise, which is this Christian lay group. They essentially get together for Bible study or for service, things like this. Very innocuous, kind of they believe common Christian dogma and doctrine, and yet it's been trashed as being like Margaret Atwood's Handmaid's Tale and misogynistic, and women have to be submissive. All these sorts of lies about trying to paint her as some kind of extremist. There's been hardly any coverage of the types of things that deserve to be covered right now, which are her outstanding career as a professor, her her time as a jurist, her jurisprudence. All of that has been essentially glossed over to try and make her look like some kind of crazy theocrat, and saying that she's going to overturn Roe because she's a Catholic, which I find just shameful.
Thank you both for being here. Marjorie Dannenfelser and Alexandra DeSanctis, thank you.